kind of want to rant here for just a second. He may totally rip it to shreds. That's fine. I'm very excited to read her little excerpt. It's a romance novel. I don't know how it happened, but I just bought 6 books. You know, 1,000 words a day is a lot for somebody who's sort of a recovering perfectionist.
There is no book that can be written by anybody that will please every single reader in the world.
Always around the tilting sentence. Life is movement. And in the same way that the previous extract was talking about the brain being made by information,
Hello friends, so some exciting updates about something that's been going on with my little writing course that I've been doing, this like Reedsy How to Write a Novel in 101 Days course. They have an option. It only happens like twice a month, I think, so I'm part of the July cohort. So I think they did 1 or 2 of these in July, and then they're doing 2 more in August. And it's an hour-long session. You can sign up for like a live editing session with Tom Bromley, who's the instructor of the course, and he will go through an excerpt of no more than 1,000 words, and he will go through and do basically almost kind of like line edits, but he basically comments on like what's working, what's not. I think I'm actually gonna have to take off work because it's at 2 p.m. It's kind of, you know, in the middle of a work day for me, so I am more than happy to take, you know, a half day off of work to see what he has to say. I'm a little nervous. There's really no reason for me to be too nervous, because even though this is the first draft of the story, this particular excerpt that I've given him, I have edited several times. I self-edit as I go, which always kind of slows me down, which is probably my biggest issue with a course like this is, you know, 1,000 words a day is a lot for somebody who's sort of a recovering perfectionist. I am a little bit nervous for it, but I think it's gonna be a really good thing. I'm just very curious to see what he has to say. He may totally rip it to shreds, and that's fine if that's what it needs. You know, I'm all about constructive criticism and getting better. That'll be really exciting.
What I think is one of the secrets of fiction, the relationship between the reader and the writer. One of the reasons that reading endures in the face of TV and film and cinema and computer games and the internet and everything that technology can throw at us The idea of a novel best being thought of as a symphony of change, with change at all levels of the novel and in all parts of the novel. I suppose if we're using that analogy, then that essentially means that the protagonist is the lead musician in the novel.
Let's get started. Oh, that's real good. Ain't nobody stop
So I'm whispering because boyfriend is asleep. It's almost midnight. I think midnight is gonna be my hard bedtime. I still have Zoom meetings and stuff to do for my actual 9-to-5 job at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I just hit 27,000. So that feels nice. I also feel like, even though that's more than a quarter of the way through the actual word count goal, which is 100,000, I'm not a quarter of the way through the story. I feel like I have so much more story to tell. So that's a little concerning. I don't know how I feel about that.
I cannot imagine how many books Stephen King must receive at his front door every year. You know, all the people that want a Stephen King blurb, it must be piling up. They assume he's dead, they eventually write him off as dead, all of those sorts of things. It's difficult to innovate. I think if you...
I've just asked a question and I hope he answers it, because it's something that I struggle with. Like the pressure to write something that's marketable versus just like what you want to write.
So, you know, so in terms of marketability and those pressures and having that, how do you have that confidence to do that? And also just talk a little bit perhaps about endings as well.
I think sometimes that it's a little bit of a false dichotomy. There's kind of, and it's discussed sometimes in those terms that like there's the artist's pure creative vision, and then there's the sacrifices we have to make it marketable and publish it in the world, and how much are we willing to give to that. I don't really think about it in that way, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm writing books because I want them to be read by people and enjoyed by people. As such, my goal really is to make a marketable novel as much as I possibly can. You know, that is my creative vision, to create something that is enjoyable in that way. Some people, when they think about marketing, they think about the kind of the lowest common denominator of like, let's strip away all the things to try and make it please as many people as we possibly can. And I think that's a mistake. There is no book that can be written by anybody that will please every single reader in the world. Make your novel as marketable as you can, as compelling as you can for that readership, for people who are open to a bit of weirdness, who are open to things going a little bit crazy. Ultimately, the person who gets to the end of my book and goes, this is a step too far for me, they're not my reader.
Good morning. I have just had a little reading session out on the patio with the cat. He found a mouse, like a little baby mouse, and chased it around for a little bit. We let it run away. I knew I would not be able to handle it if he crunched into its little skull, so I did not let him eat the mouse. I want to make today a writing day. I've got some coffee brewing. I made like sort of an instant cold brew type situation. I told myself I would cut down on coffee. Hasn't really happened yet, but I didn't buy a new espresso machine, so I'm doing good. For something healthier, I am drinking a green juice. Boyfriend and I go to Whole Foods maybe like once a month to treat ourselves, and this caught my eye. It's apples, celery, spinach, kale, and lemon. Celery is supposed to be really good for you, like drinking celery juice first thing in the morning. My first task, actually, that is not related to any of my own writing, is that I need to edit somebody else's writing, which is very exciting. So it's Saturday and I signed up for feedback on Friday. They do like a feedback Fridays in the writing course that I'm in. And the girl is from somewhere in Europe. Andorra is the country that she is from, which I don't even know that I've heard of before. I'm very excited to read her little excerpt because it's a romance novel. And I don't really read a lot of like dedicated romance, but I like it when it's like, you know, romantasy or something like that. Like Outlander, books like that. Discovery of Witches, you know, the romance is like a key driver in the plot, but it's not like the only thing going on. I kind of want to rant here for just a second. So I went on YouTube and I watched a whole bunch of different like best romance fantasy type book recommendations, and I ended up thrifting a copy of The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is pitched like new adult. I mean, it looks a little bit YA, like it looks a little bit juvenile, but like I was like, okay, the protagonist is like 23. It's a romance fantasy. There's vampires, but she's a human trying to survive in this world of vampires. It's like Hunger Games and City of Bones had a child. This is kind of what this is like, because there's like a competition, but then there's also these like vampires and demons that she's trying to survive with. But this is the book cover. I don't know, there's something about the way that they marketed it and kind of packaged it that reads very juvenile, and so does the writing. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm reading a YA, which I didn't want. And the romance is just now kind of sort of starting. I'm halfway through. I'm 200 pages in. So what are we doing? I'm not saying, you know, they have to be all over each other within the first 10 pages. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. But I guess maybe because this is a series, it's like 2 books. It says it's a duet, so I assume that means it's a duology. So I guess it's sort of, you know, setting up the romance. It's just kind of meh. I should be very honest though. It's a very balanced breakfast. Okay, so we have the green juice, my actual breakfast. It's a Danish. So, you know, it's all about balance. No, you already went outside. Later, we'll go later. This is really good. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, that went by insanely quick. I was just checking on the kitty. That doesn't even feel, 1,000 words feels like no words at all. Like it's such a short little excerpt. So I'm gonna send this back to her. I wish she had sent me more. I sent my entire second chapter with like a break. The instructor said like you can send more than 1,000 words, but you need to like denote where the break is, put a line for like the 1,000 word cutoff. So I'm kind of curious. If she had given me the whole chapter, I probably would have read it. So I'm curious to see if she ends up reading all of mine or just the little excerpt. I think we have to get it submitted back to them by Monday. So hopefully I can check on Monday and she will have returned my stuff to me.
For me, character development is the most important thing in a book. I think you can write a book without a plot.
I am, let's see, 4 like different sections of the way through this course. So there was like the first week of prep, and those sessions were all about like your pitch, who's your protagonist, do you have an idea of the plot, the point of view that you're writing from, that kind of thing. And then the second week was all about beginnings, obviously like openers, how to start the book, how to introduce your character, all that fun stuff. And then after that, it was Secret Sauce Week, where he talked about each day he focused on like a different sort of, not plot point, but just like a different element of story. And then I just finished up the week on character. So this is week 3 or 4. This would be week 3, I guess. I am officially caught up with all of the videos, which is nice. On either Monday or Tuesday, there's another author panel, like live kind of Zoom thing that I want to attend because the last one was really good. The last one with Nicholas Binge, I ordered his book, by the way, Ascension. It sounds really cool. I told boyfriend we might need to make it a buddy read because it sounds similar to, it's very like Lovecraftian, and it sounds really similar to The Mountains of Madness. At the Mountains of Madness, I haven't read that, but my boyfriend has and he really liked it. So I said this book is similar and it sounds really cool. It also sounds a little bit like Interstellar. Kind of sounds like those two things got together and had a baby, which I would like. I'm kind of still coming to terms with the fact that I'm not going to be able to read as much as I normally do while I'm writing this. I'm technically ahead of schedule, but I don't want to kind of slow my pace and then start dragging my feet and fall behind. So I'm gonna keep going. My manuscript has officially hit 100 pages, so that's nice. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but it's nice. Today is just going to be a quiet, boring writing day. It is lunchtime. I have some leftover couscous and delicata squash from the other night. And I'm going to sit here and write, I've decided, until the candle burns out. So could be here for several more hours. I'm not really sure how long it's gonna take. It's like 1:20 in the afternoon. I've been here pretty much all morning anyway, but I'm gonna keep going. So the word of the day that I have found accidentally is umbrageous. I missed it, but I wrote pretty much until it burned out. I wasn't really paying attention. I had turned the camera off. I might get up, keep writing, but maybe write on the treadmill with the iPad. Okay, I've decided. iPad it is. How cute is this cover? I got it off Etsy. I thought it was on back order. It said it wasn't going to come for like a month, but it came early, so that's nice. All of the little, I made them as like widgets, all of the major events happening in the Reedsy course. I think my live editing of Project Souls, which I don't even think I've said is what I'm calling this book for now, or at least what I'm telling you guys. I do have a title. Hello friends. So I completely was not looking at the time. It's like 8 p.m. like UK time, but they bring an author on and it's today. There's one happening right now. Anyway, I'm a minute late. It's a live session. They do have the recording of it, but if you want to be able to like ask a question and interact in the live chat, you have to be able to like view it live. So I'm gonna hop on. I totally forget who this week's author is.
Really not so much changes her life as allows her to move into what she's always wanted to be, really. She gets pregnant and she marries hastily in order to stay in the States, to be able to stay and look at it and do whatever I need to do, you know, get a piece of wallpaper if that makes me feel better, and play around. And I do think that though that process, I find that process difficult. It feels like this isn't productive. I haven't written any words for a week. I've just been in a kind of, you know, a worry phase. And I do now accept that I just have to sit with that, because all of the thinking, all of the stuff that I'm rejecting, that's not working, oh, I'm thinking about that character and I don't know what they're going to do. It feels very negative. It feels like I'm not getting anywhere, but I know that all of that is composting, for want of a better word, in my subconscious.
It's a little bit later. I don't know how it happened, but I just bought 6 books. The amount on the gift card plus my rewards was the exact total of the books that I had in my cart. So if that's not a sign, I don't know what is.